Hello everybody, I am Paladin. Welcome to my first video on this channel. As the title already gave away, this video is all about the length of the tracks and circuit superstars. This all started as an idea with Perre. He's a great guy and a fast racer, so big shout out to him. Also, I'd like to thank WhiteVanMan, who provided me with all the track maps you are going to see. Links to both their social media accounts are in the video description. The awesome music you can hear in the background is from SweetWorld. They are really nice and let me use their music in my videos. Be sure to check them out on YouTube, Instagram and Bandcamp. Links to all also in the description. Now let's get into the topic. Right now, there are 10 tracks with 18 different layouts in the game. While you get the lap times directly from the game during the race, the distance traveled is revealed after the race in the experience board. In the experience board, the distance traveled is shown. The question is, can we use this reliably to measure the distance of a track? So let's first see if this is dependent on AI difficulty or your chosen car. Therefore, I raced for 5 laps on my favorite track Rennvoort with my favorite car, the 60s GP Osprey. Let's first look at 4 races with various difficulty settings and we discuss them afterwards. Let's take a closer look at the results now. For all 4 shown difficulties, there are no big difference in the distance traveled. It's all around the average of 4021 meters with a standard deviation of 12 meters. If we divide this by 5, due to the 5 laps we traveled of course, we average at a distance at 804 meters per lap in Rennvoort. So, this shows now that the difficulty setting doesn't seem to have an effect on the distance traveled. The average distance per lap was 804.4 meters, as already said. The deviation of plus minus 2.5 meters comes down to the human element, as it is impossible for me to always drive the exact same lines throughout the track. Up next are the different car classes. I did not test it with every car, because this video took already long enough to make, but 4 will be a good group. The cars I choose are the 60s GP, the GT car, the 50s GT and a prototype. At least at first glance, the results of the different car classes tell a similar story to the different AI settings, as it doesn't seem to affect them very much. The average length of the racing line around Rennvoort is 802 meters now, which fits good with the previous results. The deviation once again comes down to the human element, As now with different cars requiring a different handling, the lines around the track cannot be duplicated. At second glance, the biggest outlier in the distance traveled is the distance traveled for the prototype. This can be traced back to kind of the human element as well. This is because the prototype has a direct handling and can by some margins be also driven to create effect over the curbs and other bumps in the track. So it is natural that this more direct car provides a more direct line throughout the track. To even these mistakes out, it is now necessary to discuss whether the racing line along a track is the best way to determine the true length of a track. For the previous test, the racing line as shown with the red line in the picture was sufficient enough. But the test with the different cars, especially the test with the prototype, has shown that this can be deceiving. So let's discover what we can use to get this true length of the track as shown with the blue line in the picture. So, how can the true length be determined? Luckily, I found this on the internet. The FIA says the center line of the track is used for the official track length. This is determined by measuring the distances around the inside and outside edges of the track and averaging the results. Okay, now we know how the FIA does this. How can we apply this to the game? This means that to get the middle line of the track, we can use the outer line as represented by the orange line in the picture and the inner line of the track as shown with the green line in the picture. The average from these two lines give us the true track length, once again shown with the blue line. For our example, we can use the distances of these lines and divide them by the 5 driven laps to get the results needed for the track length in the game. Up next you can see how I did it in game. Enjoy me not driving through Rennvoort correctly. Alright, now that this is all settled, let's take a look at the results together. Here we can see the full results of the described experiments. Pause for a moment to get everything that you need. I will go over all of this one by one in a minute. If this is not useful to you, you can also find this table in the video description, hopefully without any mistakes. Up first, Whistle Valley. With 680 meters, it is the shortest of the full-length tracks in the game. While turn 1 and 2 always provide carnage in the first lap, you can always relax at the waterfall in turn 4 or pay the technical corners 6 to 8 a visit. But always make sure to not end up in the name-giving fence at turn 7. Up next, Sugar Hill. Also one of the smaller tracks in the game, but it always provides big action around the S's and great overtaking opportunities in turn 6 and 7. I quite like the 711 meters long Sugary Hill. Maple Ridge is one of the classics for me in the game, and with 868 meters, one of the longer tracks in Circuit Superstars. The Autodromo Magdalena is a city circuit with a football field right in the middle of the track. But not only there is something rolling around. All along the 749 meter long track are great scenes where you can roll into the line of your opponent and overtake him, especially in turn 1, 2 and 4. With 599 meters, the club circuit of Magdalena appears small, but always delivers on big racing. Be it in the hairpin in turn 3 or the S's of turns 4 to 6, every driver always has to be on the lookout through the streets of this awesome racetrack. Copperwood may be one of the first tracks that you played in the game. It is really tricky to drive, but if you get a hang out of it, the 830 meter long track provides awesome racing. And according to my girlfriend, this looks like a saxophone, and now I can't unsee it anymore. The smaller layout of Copperwood can mostly be seen in online with a high number of laps and different pit stop strategies. The 591.9 meter long track is the third smallest in the game, but the tight track always provides some action. This is referred to as the gamepad track by my girlfriend, but I stick with the common sense and keep referring to this as the Bony. Now off to the crown jewel of circuit superstars. Be it the Tulip Fields or the Cozy Lake, Rennvoort with 854 meters long is possibly one of the most beloved racetrack in the game. This track is the official test ground of the Paladin racing team. What this basically means is that you will see this one a lot around here. Interstate is honestly not my cup of tea. It looks great and the train is a highlight, but this 961 meters long track is hard to drive and often doesn't provide great action. Also, I want to see a street only layout for this one. Can we get this please, Original Fire Games? Buffalo Hills is the next track in the Dirt Saga. I actually like this 795 meters long festival of crashes and slides. It can be difficult to drive for sure, but it has a great learning curve where you can really learn to handle the rally car Voss and the super truck. Similar things can be said about the club layout. With 571 meters, it is the second smallest track in the game. This is only beaten by the mini layout, which is the smallest track in the game, only 425 meters from start to finish. As the unofficial favorite track of Minardi, this one is a real ride with insane racing pre-programmed. Lost Lagoons is one of the three new tracks, and I can't say much about this apart from that this is the longest track with 1167 meters. I don't really like this track that much, as the jumps make the cars uncontrollable and the half-pipe and the crossover jump seem a bit too silly for my taste. Faenza, on the other hand, is a beautiful 856 meter long track, and it is a real challenge to master all the corners, and it can be tough to overtake there. But the looks and feels of this track always are something special for me. Siena is the third of the new tracks and provides close racing due to the many hairpins. However, the 826 meters long track is a well-known tire killer, so be aware on how hard you slide around these tight corners. Tilksport is the second longest track in the game, and with 1138 meters the longest road course. Although this is not my favorite track, I have to say that the racing around there always feels great and on the edge. Especially the back straight into turn 7 provides a great spot to squeeze in between another car and a corner bollard. But be sure to have the maneuver stick by then, otherwise you will hit the corner cutting penalty in the newly called Coney chicane. The Tilksport club layout is with 957 meters, only a fraction smaller than its bigger brother Tilksport Full. Here the missing hairpin provides a good flow through corners 4 and 5, which I quite like, to be honest. Last and maybe also least, Tilksport Rallycross. This 722 meters long track is really narrow and in my mind one of the most skippable tracks in online racing. Although it can be fun driving around here, the very nature of the track seems to mostly contradict a good racing experience. Now that we are finished going over the tracks one by one, we can get to the conclusion. The distance shown in the experience board can be used to measure the track length. This is not dependent on AI or car. To determine the true length of the track, the average between outer and inner line is chosen. This results in the middle line of the track. All tracks could be measured successfully with this method. And there we have it. Thanks for watching, like, comment and subscribe. And until the next video. Let me know which track length surprised you the most.